what I want to do here for this here is just be able to unpack, answer any questions that you may have regarding day one content. Assuming you got your email and you checked out the video, and I see a lot of people getting their homework done and posting on the thread, which is fabulous. There's a pin post in there, or I guess the new term is an announcement. I was searching all morning for a pinned post, a way to pin the post, and I couldn't find one. So didn't realize that was changed. But I see a lot of good activity there, which is fantastic. And so we're going to spend about 30 minutes. I got a lot set aside here. Of course, if you have questions, my goal is to keep answering them for you and take care of business. What I want to do is just provide a little bit more clarity on the components of the video for day one, and put a little bit of a challenge, more challenge, since, well, we are in challenge mode, right? I want to put a little bit more push on you for some deeper levels of clarity and some nuance. And I'd love to hear, some of the feedback that you've gained to this point. So the first part here is I want to really first of all, encourage you and congratulate you for taking action. We know all of you, anybody even been in business more than a day in the internet environment, in the online world, know that just because somebody opts in for something has no correlation to whether or not they're actually going to show up and do the work. So good for you. Good on you for showing up and getting it done, right? That's step one. So congratulations on that. And let's just keep the energy going and being moving here and create some, I want to really get a buzz and get the whole group in action. But there's a couple of cautions that I want to provide. And one is the desire to feel like you're getting it right. Okay. Because there is no right or wrong. And so sometimes we provide responses or we take actions that could hinder the process because we're more concerned about getting it right than getting the ahas, right? Getting the ahas and the clarity and the things that need to happen. So I definitely want to, whatever in any way possible, encourage you to focus more on a nuance or a change, right? If it feels anxious, if you didn't get an aha from both the video and the homework, the exercise, then I will submit to you that you probably didn't give it enough thought. Probably didn't challenge yourself quite enough. So it wasn't one of those things to go through, fill out the template and go, oh yeah, I'm doing this perfectly and this is wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great if that's the case. My personal experience has been that is extremely rare. We're talking less than 1%. Almost everybody I talk to when I am having a conversation about these stages concept, ahas always present themselves. So let's just run through these real quick here. The first thing I want to put in front of you is that this sets the stage for the rest of the challenge. So if you don't bring a new level of nuance to this, it's something that you can challenge yourself to take this to a deeper level of clarity, then I will tell you that you probably aren't going to get as much out of this week as you need to, because the whole focus here is that we're going to shift a change. We want to make a shift in how you're showing up, how you're actually doing business. And the goal is to help turn the volume closer to the easy side, right? We want to make your lead generation, your sales conversions simpler, easier, more natural. Okay, so in this exercise, make sure you take the time that is necessary to get it right. So let's just run through them real quick, right? The stages of readiness, need, and desire. In the waterfall metaphor here is the floating, right? Floating being that first stage upstream. And think of yourself, if you are addressing somebody in this stage, this is the person who is just really denial and awareness, like a lack of awareness and denial fits the bill here. And you have to really decide for yourself. There's typically there's no urgency in this person, usually simply because they're unaware that they should even have any. And you have to be, your strength in this place is typically somebody that is an educator, right? An educator, but not just with information, with inspiration, right? Your primary objective in stage one is to be able to inject urgency. You have to create urgency in an environment where there may not be any. Okay, that's a lot of work for some people. That may not be your personal passion. Like I said, of the 4 stages, that is number 4 for me. That's my least desire. I'm good at it. I have no desire to do. I don't like trying to create, take somebody who isn't interested in moving and trying to find a way to get them interested in moving. I'm much more suited for to jump in to a mess and help somebody clean it up. But again, this is not about my answer, and there isn't about the right answer. This is about your answer, but just getting clear to it. Okay, the falls. This is typically what I find where most people come, and most people are talking to people who are at the falls for one main reason. They tend to be a little bit lower hanging fruit. They're easy to find. They're jumping up and down screaming for help, and that's usually because they've waited way too long to try to get it. And so you want to make sure that that if you're talking to that person, this is where the disconnect can come in. I coach people very regularly who are in this stage. They're talking to a client who is at the falls, and you're trying to treat them as though they're floating, right? You're trying to offer them a whole bunch of information, a 10-step system, a plan, a process, and they don't need that. They need a rope. So if you're going to be living at that stage, at the falls, and looking to pull people off the falls and pull them onto dry ground, the first step of that process is usually something that is going to require a quick fix, a short-term quick fix to get them not going over the falls so they can get their head back in place, stop panicking and freaking out, and then start getting into a place where they can actually receive information. Right. So there's a whole lot more to dive into that, but these are the kind of levels of clarity that I want you to have for you. I want you to think this through. All right. And then devastation, Corey. And again, it should be pretty obvious. This is crisis. This is somebody who is imploding. Their business is falling apart, or their relationship, or their health, whatever it is where you, that you engage them. And it's really important for you to understand if that's a place where you thrive. Okay, most of us feel often like that's where we want to be because we have this heart to help people. But you have to know for yourself, are you good in that spot? And this is just something that requires massive honesty and reflection. Okay, I'm good there. It's not necessarily where I want to be all the time. I spent years there. And I put a lot more pressure on myself because my problem is when I get in that environment, I tend to try to own the responsibility for solving people's problems. And I can't solve anybody's problem. I can only shine light, give wisdom and insight and input. You're the one who has to solve your own problem, right? With the support and encouragement and guidance of others. But understand where you fit. If you are a crisis actor, you move, you totally rock in that environment. And it fills you up. Like you can be in the middle of a crisis, building burning down, and you're just smooth, cool as a cucumber. You get it. You're like, yeah, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. You're directing traffic. You're getting people in place. You're not freaking out and diving in, right? And then, of course, the recovery piece is just making sure that you understand. This is the primary goals here. The primary things that you need to have with you in your tool belt is the ability to inspire, encourage, teach, and speak truth, because they've been through the whole cycle. They have been beaten down. Your job at this point is to encourage and lift them up and not waste time, effort, energy, and words on anything but the truth. Now they're ready to hear it. They need to hear it. They need to respond to it, and they need to start taking action and doing it right. So hope that makes sense for you. I just wanted to provide a little bit of extra clarity. And now, I would just, I'd like to see, what just happened? Whoop, did I go off? No. Oh, no. Where am I? Okay. Still on it. Okay, there we go. Sorry, my computer was frozen. Okay, I'm hoping we're still rocking and rolling here. What I would love to hear any ahas, words of wisdom, any challenges that you've had, and if you don't, thank you, Angel. Appreciate him, my man, Angel Jones. Everybody, if you don't know Angel Jones, you need to be talking to him. The master of the 12-minute interview, who's rocking, cruising the country and the world for that matter, interviewing people. Okay, great. So, what ahas are you having? What questions are coming up for you? And I would love to know if you didn't have an aha, right? Because that's something that is a concern. So I want to put that in front of you. Just if you didn't have a place where you, oh man, that's where I've been doing this wrong, then I would suggest you didn't do this clearly enough. You didn't give it enough time. You didn't really sink into where you might have been, fishing in the wrong pond, for lack of a better term, right? But which stage have you been operating in or forcing yourself into? Or at least just having that level of clarity to understand that you have been talking to the wrong person at the wrong time, maybe even the right person, but at the wrong time, right? So that I would love to hear from you. So please, post any questions in here. My intention was to get you on this call live again. I'm not the technology giant. My goal tomorrow, and the next one here, day 2 challenge, I want to get you on here live so you can ask questions visibly here, physically, so we can have all the Zoom Brady Bunch boxes and squares. So where are you? Let's just share some experience here. What did you go through when you were moving through this exercise? What levels of clarity and awareness popped up for you? I've seen some of the posts, which has been awesome. Great levels of clarity and sharing. I love it. And clearly a few of you had some levels of aha to realize I don't want to be in stage 3 or 4, or I don't want to spend my time in that stage 1 environment. And again, the best thing that I can give you for encouragement around this is the thought, opening the invitation to the thoughts themselves. That's really it. Okay. And so that's really where this comes to is, if you're asking the question, you're on the right path. You are now in the right place. So if you're not asking the question, that's the challenge. So that's really what I wanted to be able to do with this, for sure. And you can break this down to levels of nuance. Like, I had a conversation with a client a couple of months ago around this concept, and we started breaking it down to realize, okay, it was somewhere between floating and the falls. So her actual ideal scenario was the rapids before the falls, right? So you can break this down to whatever makes sense. These are just great anchors for starting point, right? Where else could this be for you? Maybe this works better for you to be positioned at the falls on the second falls, right? Maybe you're really good at working with thick-headed, stubborn people who just don't want to learn unless they absolutely have to. So now they've gone through the falls and devastation and recovery. Now they're feeling like, oh my goodness, I've already been through this. Now I'm good. I got it. Right. So that's a big problem. And, but then they could go through their own floating period again, because we figure, okay, the immediate pain is gone. So now I don't need any help, until they get to the falls the second time. Right. So understand that. I guess, again, there's no wrong answer. It's the most awesome part about all this. No wrong answers. Right. Tom Matson, first insight. This is a great exercise. Help me dig into the layers of the ideal target markets we work with. Second insight, our masterclass can help on all 4 stages. So I will assess adding a screen out process to reduce the stages that won't benefit. Very good. That's equally important, right? You can focus on what not to do, and it's every bit as important as knowing what to focus on, and I'm focusing on what to do and who to support. So good stuff. And my wife sat in on Tom's masterclass this weekend, and she was in the living room with flip charts and Post-it notes and going to town on another product that we're getting ready to create. So great insight, Tom. Janice, Jordan, I have 2 businesses and we work in 2 different problems, so the sales are different. I get it. So do we. We only have 1 business, but we have 2 separate sides of the house. And here's the encouragement that I want to give all of you. For the purpose of this exercise, pick one portion of one business, right? We have an outsourced sales team. We're outsourced specialists. That is one whole path and revenue stream for us, and a very highly effective one. We also have a sales training component, although I don't like to call myself a sales trainer because I'm not one. I'm an expert. And I teach things very differently than the typical sales trainer, but that's the lane that we're focusing on here with this. We're using the lessons that we've learned with supporting and serving all of our high-end clients and our outsourced with the thousands of conversations that we've had, to be able to implement the ideal strategies that are more effective here. And so we're just specifically focusing on right now, for the purpose of this challenge, people who struggle a little more or are looking for a way to increase their ideal target efficiency. This isn't about ramping up millions of leads. This is not a volume play, right? This is a leverage play. This is a strategic play. The way I run my business, my calendar is literally full of people who show up already wanting and ready to buy. And that's what we're going to unpack over the next 4 days here. These next few videos, we're just going to take this to another layers of nuance. So make sure that you dive in, do the work, post and share, ask questions. We're going to go into these threads here today and answer some of the questions, give any feedback and insights. I definitely want to encourage all of you to do the same. If you see what other people are posting, please share your insights, share some feedback, comments. We're all working here. Everybody's, putting some stuff out here on the line, getting a little vulnerable with some shares. I want to encourage you to support each other and lift each other up with anything that you see. You see somebody share something that they had a really strong clarity and insight. Fantastic. Let them know that. It's important. Right. My desire is I'm just here to provide the environment for success. When these groups and when these projects work the best is when you're actually providing the success for each other and the community and the feedback and the insight. Because I'm a pretty smart cookie, but I don't know everything. I know I can learn from every single one of you, and I intend to. All right. So that's really the highlights. That's what I wanted to dive into today. I definitely want to caution you to not try to apply this to all of your revenue streams. Don't right now try to think through why. Yeah, good job, Joanna. Don't focus in on, you can, by getting nuanced and really getting super clarity in one, it will help you identify in the other four. And you may have a situation where you can have a product offering that could fit in each cycle. The caution on that is until you have extreme levels of clarity on how those should be breaking out, I would entertain not addressing that at first. Just really position this to one area. And as again, primarily for this exercise, for the challenge, we're going to be adding levels of clarity and nuance to this as we go. So it's going to be a mess for you if you're trying to do all four of these in the next 5 days. It just won't work. It won't make as much sense for you. You'll just get caught up in a lot of detail. And understanding the power and the potency of a single, a bullseye targeted measured approach, which we're going to unpack more in day 2. All right. So any other questions or insights, challenges that you want to put on the table here that I can answer? And I'll gladly do so. I'll hang out here for a couple of minutes. And if you want to, you post a question in here. If I don't get to it right here on this video, I'll definitely reach out and answer it in the thread when we get done here. And like I said, even if you've already posted and gone through it, just understand that this is a very fluid exercise. There's no I've done it and it's done. There's always levels and layers, because as you grow and evolve, the more clarity you get, it's going to impact how you do other parts of your business, how you engage with the marketplace, which will then ultimately cycle back around to drawing in more refined prospects. And then you're always going to be refining. So it's going to be this continual wheel of life, right? This circle of life that will keep coming around. The more clarity you get, the better your marketing is going to get, the better your messaging is going to get, the better your partners are going to get, the more clarity that people will have when they show up. So then you'll be able to have better, more strategically fine-tuned conversations, which always leads to greater conversions. And then when that happens, it allows you to get even more narrowly focused, right? So you're always going to be in this cycle of refinement. Okay. So don't ever get too focused on set it and forget it, because that's not the goal. The goal here is continual, always nonstop, never-ending improvement. As John Wooden said, getting better never ends, and the better you get, the better able you are to serve your people at a more powerful level. So embrace that, understand that. I acknowledge you for doing the work. I appreciate you for being here and taking the time. Thank you so much. And then we'll look out for your email tomorrow for day 2 with the exercise and the video. And then we'll look forward to being right back here. And my goal is to be able to get you on so you can actually ask questions, give feedback and comments. This is my first day using the Zoom live stream webinar feature. So by tomorrow, I will have that part figured out. All right. So you guys are awesome. I totally appreciate you. Much love. Go make some magic happen. Tear this up. And we have 1 day down and 4 to go to some leads made easy, magic and mastery. We'll see you on the calls.